Welcome, food lovers, to this special edition of Neighbors Cooking. I am thrilled you're joining us today because we have something truly exceptional lined up. Today, we're diving into one of the latest creations from the Community Kitchen Collective. It's a healthy and utterly delicious recipe for bacon-wrapped pork chops with roasted vegetables. Trust me, this is one dish you won't want to miss. So every week here at Neighbors Cooking, we develop 2 handcrafted recipes specifically for the LGBTQ Center Food Bank. Our goal is simple: to nourish our community with love and wholesome, tasty meals. And we're overjoyed to share this week our partnership in feeding that community is being celebrated and featured in this next week's edition of the CV Independent. So I thought, what better way to bring these flavors to you other than a first-hand tasting? So we're going to walk through the recipe for this last week's mouth-watering recipe, step by step, and experience the joy of a meal made with care and compassion. So get ready to treat your taste buds, share in our mission, and feel the love that goes into every dish. So let's get cooking. But first, food enthusiasts, neighbors, and community supporters, we have a very special guest joining us, someone who truly embodies the essence of culinary passion and community spirit. Our guest hails from McMinnville, Oregon, right in the heart of wine country, where the deep bond between food and people took root for him at a young age. His culinary journey took off in the vibrant restaurant scene of Seattle, where he honed in his skills and crafted his unique gastronomic perspective. Our guest's dedication to the culinary arts is truly inspiring. He spent 13 enriching years teaching at Edmonds College, shaping the next generation of chefs before the allure of the desert called him to Palm Springs. Here, he's continued to make a mark, not just as a gourmet and a gastronomist, but also as a vital community figure. You might recognize him from his pivotal role in directing activities at the Certified Farmers Market, or his enthusiastic volunteer work with Cinema Diverse, or as a contributing writer for the CV Independent. Whether he's serving up savory dishes at local restaurants or tasting savory dishes at local restaurants or cooking up a feast at his home, Charles' love of food is evident. He currently resides in Palm Springs with his husband, their adorable dog, and an African gray parrot, all of whom add an extra sprinkle of joy to his life. So join me in welcoming Charles Drabkin, who brings his expertise and infectious love for food to our show today. I'm excited to cook, learn, and share some incredible moments with him. So welcome to our kitchen, Charles. Welcome.
Mitch, thank you.
Hello.
Hello, nice
How
to
are
see
you?
you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
I don't usually have another chef in the kitchen, so I'm a little nervous.
Don't be nervous. I am the easiest guest because I'm just so appreciative somebody else is cooking for me.
So you used to teach culinary school.
I did. I taught for about 13 years at Edmonds College. It was community college when I was there, but they've upgraded since I left, probably because I left. And I worked around the Seattle restaurant scene for many years. I moved to the desert about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And as so many of us do, I kind of reinvented myself when I got here.
You're right. I did the same thing, even though I went to culinary school. I never worked in the kitchen.
Oh, yeah.
Once I got out of culinary school, I realized I had no desire to be, some chef bitch and get harassed in the kitchen by some chef who thought he was all that. So I just started cooking and doing my private chef stuff on my own.
Perfect.
And then I moved here, and COVID happened, and I had my mom and my grandmother I was taking care of, and I wanted to share my love of food, so I started doing my show during COVID, and that's just turned into this weekly show now, and it's exciting. I love it. We've got this new partnership with the LGBTQ Center, which you wrote an article about.
Right.
I haven't seen it, so I don't know how good it is, but I'm sure it's fabulous.
Well, let's hope.
But I'm so thankful that you're exposing the program and letting people know that there's not only great food, but we also give them recipes to make with the food.
Yeah, when you told me, or when Charles Huff, director of food security at the center, told me about the program, I was so excited because I know one of the challenges for food banks is they give out food that people don't necessarily know how to use.
Right.
So I was so excited to see that you were doing this and letting people know so much about what was happening, and that the center was really bought into it. And I know that they distribute the recipes on hard copy as well as through their social media channels.
Right.
And I want people to be cooking and eating well.
Yes.
Because so much of the food that's out there is just
goes to waste.
Goes to waste, and it's processed and terrible for you. And but a home cooked meal and sitting down and eating with friends and family like that,
right?
That is going to save everything.
And we're taking some of those menus, like this last week, some of the things in there were ramen noodles,
right.
and besides what people might do and put their hot water in the ramen noodles with the packet.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that, but you can do so much more. And we did this great chicken vegetable soup using the ramen noodles. And the other thing we did was this recipe for bacon wrapped pork chops. So I'm going to kind of go over the ingredients. I'm going to have you warm this pan up just a little bit, and I'm going to hand pork chops over to you in just a minute.
Yay.
We're going to put a little bit of olive oil in there. I don't have to give you a lot of just to get it a little bit ready. So I'm going to go over the ingredients with you and help you see what we've got that came in the bag. So I'll superimpose up here. We originally started with some pork chops that the center had. They got lots of bacon that Charles told me about. They also had some squash and some carrots and some parsley, some mandarin oranges, and everything else we're adding, and some cabbage and some cucumbers. So everything else that we're adding are just the spices that we added. So let's go through it. The recipe was 4 pork chops. We had, and I've got my little bug there. I don't have my camera guy today, so I'm hoping you're seeing everything. 4 pork chops, some bacon. We had a small squash that we diced up. We have a cucumber that we are going to slice up here in a minute. A head of cabbage that we're going to cut up. We had 2 tangerines that we peeled and divided up, so we've got those here. We have 2 tablespoons of butter that's over by Charles for later on, some olive oil, 3 tablespoons of honey. Where'd my honey go? Oh, my honey is
right here.
Oh, here it is. No, I've got that. Honey, my honey's here. I'm there. I didn't get that till just now. Some paprika. So we've got a tablespoon of paprika. You can use smoked paprika or regular paprika. The difference is just the depth and flavor. We've got 2 tablespoons of Creole seasoning, 1/4 to 1/2 cup of chicken stock, some salt and pepper, and some garnish. So we're going to start off with getting the vegetables going, and it's real simple. So I'm going to move this out of my way here a little bit. So Charles, you worked in restaurants, right?
For many, many, many years.
Many years. It's an experience I've never had, and I don't think I've missed it.
I loved it. It's amazing, the friendships, the work ethic. Like, restaurant workers are some of the hardest working people.
They are incredibly hardworking people.
And resilient and like, I loved it.
Yeah. I
made some of the most important relationships in my life. I made through there. But I also got old.
And being on our feet all day.
Being on your feet, it is hard on the body. And you don't get paid well as a restaurant cook, even in the higher echelons. So I had to reinvent myself. I was lucky enough to be invited to teach culinary school for a quarter. They needed someone to fill in for 1 quarter. 13 years later, I left because I was moving to the desert. Right. So, that was the greatest privilege of my life.
Food is love. It creates bonds. It creates memories. It creates all these experiences that you can relive every time you make it.
Right.
My mom wasn't a great cook, but there's things she made that still to this day. She used to make these sweet and sour spare ribs for my birthday every year.
Yum.
And it was real basic. It was spare ribs, some tomato sauce, and some pineapple and brown sugar. But it was real basic, but I love them, and I still make them to this day with a little bit of probably hyped up on it, but let's move on just for a minute. All right, so we're gonna start. So we're starting off with our cabbage. We're just going to take our cabbage and we're going to cut it into chunks. So I'm going to cut that here, and then we're going to put it over here on this. Let me cut this one edge off so we have flat edges. All right. We've preheated our oven to 350 degrees. You can go to 375. So we're just cutting these wedges of cabbage that we're going to put the pork chops on top of. I'll grab that olive oil from you. We're going to put a little bit of olive oil over these because we want them to roast up. And then I'm going to take the rest of the vegetables to take the squash, the carrots, the tangerines, and I'm going to put a little bit of olive oil on all of those, and I am going to make sure they get a good dredge of olive oil. We're going to add some salt and pepper. Lots of salt and pepper.
I'm a salt fiend.
Are you?
Oh yeah. I mean, it comes from working in the restaurant industry.
Well, because we're using bacon, we don't need a lot of salt, because there's a lot of salt already in bacon. But we're going to put those all together and pour them out here on the plate. We've got all these great vegetables and fruits.
You know, and what I love to do is at the beginning of the week or on the weekend is I will just cut up a bunch of vegetables and roast them off just like this.
Oh yeah.
And stick them in the fridge, and then I've got salads for the week or sandwiches or.
It's so much easier if you do some prep at the beginning of your week. Think about it, cut it up, get it ready, and it makes the rest of your cooking during the week so much easier.
Right.
So these are cucumbers we're adding. I know it sounds like an odd ingredient. But it kind of gives that pickly flavor, so it takes that sweet and that savory and adds it all together. So my oven is warm, and we're going to put these in the oven and start them roasting. And when that goes on, we'll bring the pan back over. And now we're going to create the dry rub. Excuse me, my little man. All right, so.
We have a very special guest in the kitchen today.
We do. Benny is down here just, oh, you want my cucumber? Trying to eat a cucumber. Ah, dogs. So we're going to take our onion powder, our Cajun Creole powder, our Italian seasoning, and our smoked paprika. And we're going to create a dry rub for these pork chops that Charles is going to be cooking up for us in just a moment.
I hope I don't mess it up.
Ah,
How embarrassing.
how can you mess up pork chops? So here's what we're gonna do. We've got our pork chops. We're gonna get lots of dry rub on them. There we go, make sure you get the edges, lots and lots. We're gonna do the second one. Again, get the edges. And you can adjust these seasons. You can use different seasoning if you like different seasoning. But I found these seemed like a really good combination. And then we're gonna take that bacon and we're gonna wrap the chop up. So just lay out your bacon. 3 or 4 strips should be plenty. We'll do 4 in this case, it looks like. Put your chop on it. Wrap it up. We're going to put this wrapped piece on the bottom first so that we kind of get it to sear together. So that's 1. And number 2. I once did a turkey completely wrapped in bacon.
Oh, very nice.
It was like lattice wrapped.
Uh-huh.
It was so much work. But it looked really good at the end.
Oh, I'm sure. It probably was delicious.
It was really good.
I've been, the last couple of years, I've been sous videing my turkey.
Oh yeah.
So making turkey confit out of the legs and then sous videing the breast. It's so moist and delicious, and everything gets done like beforehand so that I can just concentrate on like my guests when they come over for Thanksgiving.
Exactly. So we're going to cook these, and we're getting them nice and brown on one side and the same on the other side.
No problem.
So we've got our vegetables in here cooking. We're just going to cook those up. Once we add the pork chops, these aren't very thick pork chops, so they're not going to take an incredibly long time to cook. But we want to be careful with the pork or any meat, and my recommendation, I don't know what you do, but I always get my meat up to room temperature.
Sure.
And the reason for that?
Well, so that way things cook much more evenly.
Right.
You're not fighting the cold of the fridge. So yeah, if you pull the meat out 15, 20 minutes before you cook it.
No more than 2 hours.
Right. Yes.
Just bring it up to room temperature. You'll find your meat will be more moist when you're done. It won't dry out as quickly. And again, you're not fighting with the temp from a cold meat into a hot pan or a hot stove. and you're just going to be happier in the end of the day with it. And that's true of chicken, pork, beef.
Right. You know, a lot of people think that pork, we have this sort of fantasy in the U.S. that pork needs to be cooked like super, super well done.
Chicken.
Right. And chicken does, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Please cook your chicken all the way through. But pork, you know, there was this problem with trichinosis in the 1950s, but people's attitudes towards pork have continued. So you can really do pork like medium, and it is fine.
So medium in pork's around 165 to 185, depending on, you know, if you go much higher in temp than that,
It'll be real dry.
It'll be real dry, and it's going to rest. So when we, you know, it's going to rest for a minute. So it's really not necessary to overcook your meat unless you just really like overcooked meat. My mother was a hero with overcooked meat, I'll tell you.
I'm sure.
Being British, everything was cooked like way overcooked, way overboiled, way over everything. And so it was when I started to learn to cook, I'm like, you don't cook it till it's black? You know, what? But my mom said chicken's got to be cooked really well, and it does.
Chicken is the exception.
But not as well as my mother cooked it.
Well, I was very lucky. My mother she's a phenomenal cook, and she taught me everything I know.
Nice.
You know, as sort of any great French chef will tell you, their mother is their inspiration, and that is 100% true of me. And everyone in my family is a great cook, and my sister is a phenomenal cook, and she would say the same thing.
My mother got better after I graduated from culinary school and started in the kitchen showing her how to cook. She got much better with it. My brother's a good cook, my sister's a good cook, but my mom just, you know, English people just tend to overcook everything.
They do like things
boil, broil, and bake.
Right.
So how are those looking on the bottom? Still
they
much
can
more
go
to
a
go.
while.
We might turn it up a little more. All right.
So one of the things, though, I think is really important to remember is you don't need to fuss with it, especially, you know, pork chops or bacon, and like,
Just let it be.
just let it be. It'll be fine.
Yeah. And the more times you turn it, the tougher it gets also.
Yeah, and just like things start to fall apart, and like let the caramelization, because that's where all your flavors coming from.
Yeah. And so when this is done, we're going to keep this pan, and we're going to create this honey glaze that goes over the top, and it's just, it adds this savory and this sweet flavor to it, and then we're going to have a little balsamic glaze that we're going to put over the veggies. So it should be really, really good. So you enjoy writing. Do you like it better than cooking?
It engages a different part of my brain.
Right.
And certainly I haven't been doing it as long, so I feel like I'm learning a lot more every time I sit down to write. Like it's a learning experience for me. I've been cooking professionally since I was about 13, and before that, like in professional kitchens since I was about 13, before I was legal to really be working. And before that, you know, I was chopping vegetables next to my mom in the kitchen. So not that there's nothing, that I have nothing to learn, but I have a very intuitive knowledge of food.
That's how I am. I can come in the kitchen and just cook, but then when it came to doing the show, I realized I needed to take that out of my head and put it in a way that people could understand.
Absolutely.
And that's where the challenge comes in, actually, for me. But writing, I've actually become a better writer because of the show.
You know, anytime you're kind of forced to practice a skill, you get better at it.
Yeah. So, but what happened with me is I got too wordy in the beginning. So I was like all of these adjectives and the great words, and I had some friends go, you know, you could maybe bring that down just a little bit, and they were right. So thank you, friends.
I am very lucky because I work with the most phenomenal editor at the CD Independent, Jimmy Bogle.
Jimmy is amazing.
And he makes my writing so much better than it actually is.
Yeah.
You know, having a good editor, like, is more important. It's as important as the writing itself. Because someone to just hone you down and make you sound better.
Well, I spoke to him when I learned you were doing the article, and he said, oh yeah, I said, is there anything I should tell him or anything? He goes, no, he's really good at what he does, so don't even worry about it.
Oh, well, I'll send him a check later.
So when we did the interview, it was a Zoom meeting, actually.
Right.
We did it with the center, myself, and you, and it was a lot of fun. I get so engaged in when I get the grocery list.
Sure.
It excites me because I'm like, oh man, this is some good stuff.
Right.
But I can see when people get, a head of cabbage and tangerines and cucumbers. They're like, what am I going to do with that?
Sure. I mean, we all cook from our own history, right? So, someone like yourself or myself who, I've cooked across the country, I've cooked in different countries. So, I'm just familiar with food, and I recognize what food does in a recipe. So if I have a new ingredient, I can kind of figure out what it's going to do based on my past experience.
Right.
But so many of us don't have that, that knowledge. That the seven things you know how to cook, and outside of that, it's like,
Yeah. So. No, I get a great kick out of it because it keeps me being creative. There we go. Look at that.
So I don't know, is the camera on though?
Yeah, I think we can see that. Let me go over to camera 2 here. Let me take this bug off. There we go. So you can see we've got this beautiful crispiness on it. Turn it down a little bit, not too much smoke. And this is going to become what we use to make the glaze, the honey glaze. So we're going to keep the bacon fat in there. We're going to add some butter, and then we're going to add honey.
Wait, I thought you said at the beginning of this was a very healthy recipe.
Well, no, pork chops are healthy.
Pork chops are healthy.
I'm trying to use the ingredients. So not everything is perfectly healthy, all right? I'm trying to use the ingredients that we got. So it's a little outside my normal healthy, but we got to use the food we get.
Right.
So bacon is better than no bacon. And pork chops are healthy.
Bacon makes everything better.
So really, if you think about it, we got a little bit of olive oil. The bacon has some trans fats in it, but it's not horrible. The pork chop's going to be healthy. We're only adding garlic and lots of vegetables, so really it's not bad. It's not bad.
I'm just teasing.
It's still going to be under 800 calories, all said and done. Way under 800 calories. So I didn't use a calorie count on this, but I'm sure it's going to be way under 800 calories.
Especially if you just eat a small amount of it.
One pork chop. That looks so good though.
And it's smelling delicious. I wish you all were here with us.
So that's one of the fun things about doing this is the smells that we get to experience and the flavors and the camaraderie. So once he's done with that, we're going to put in a real simple mix of some garlic, some butter, honey, and some chicken stock.
Okay.
And that's going to create this sauce that is going to start to caramelize as we start to cook it in and bring it down in flavor. I mean, well, so your husband, what does he do?
He works for Eisenhower in the IT department. So when we moved down here, he worked for Microsoft, and he was like a very early adopter of remote work because it was well before the pandemic. And then, 5-ish years ago, we started working for Eisenhower.
I have a friend, speaking of Microsoft, who wrote the original program for WinBax. And Microsoft licensed from him. And he's still making money on it.
Oh, I'm sure.
It's still part of the operating system, WinBax. So for you young kids, WinBax was a program within the Microsoft operating system that allowed you to send faxes.
What's a fax, man?
What's a fax? Faxes from your computer.
It was like an email, but with paper.
That came very slowly through.
Oh, and they were so exciting when you would get one.
Right? You were like, woohoo, it's coming through, and you'd wait until it finally came out, and then you'd run out of fax paper.
Right.
Right in the middle of it, and then you have to call and get it reset. Technology is so much easier and so much harder now. So I think that, look how that bottom look on that.
I could use another couple minutes.
Another couple minutes? All right.
Are we going to finish these off in the oven?
We're going to finish them off in the oven.
Okay, then we can probably take them off because they're looking pretty good there.
So we're going to take our veggies out. They're roasting nicely, and we're going to put one on top of there, and one over there.
I love this technique because, that cabbage is just now going to get all of that delicious porky bacon flavor.
Yep.
It's phenomenal.
All right, so in here, we're going to add the butter, and we're going to scrape some of the scrapings off if we can get the scrapings.
So technically we call that the fond.
Yes. Or the brown bits.
Or the brown bits.
My favorite.
You've got this beautiful cast iron pan.
This is my grandmother's.
Oh, I also cook with my grandmother's cast iron pan.
Yeah, so with my grandmother's, I went to my mom who never used it, and then I took it when I moved away from home because I was the only one who was going to use it.
I love that you also cook with your grandmother's pan. Like what I love about it is like every time I cook with it, it reminds me of her.
Yes.
Like it connects me to her.
Yes.
So that's a little garlic.
A little garlic. We're going to turn this down a little. Don't want to burn the butter or the garlic. And then we're going to take this honey.
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 Do you know that line from Nancy Mae?
Yes. I just watched that the other day. I love that movie.
It's a Christmas movie though.
I know, but
Honey.
when isn't Lucy in? Well, I watched the Lucy version. The Ethel Merman version is good too. And then we're going to add this chicken stock, and you're just going to add that as you need more to blend it, and it'll start to cook down. So we're creating this honey sauce that is going to go over the top of the pork chops. So we'll have a savory and a sweet and a bacony flavor. Savory, sweet, and whatever. What's the other word I'm looking for? I don't know.
Umami?
Umami. No, I'm not looking for umami. But I almost wore a yellow shirt tonight. I'm glad
We
I
would have
didn't.
been twins.
Yeah, we would have had contrast on the show.
Twinsies.
So when this is done, we're going to have some parsley that we're going to add on top of it. And I had to run to the grocery store real quick for something. I forget what it was. And I was trying to think of something else I might put on, because this kind of has a German influence or sense to it.
Sure.
With the roasted vegetables and the pork chops and the bacon. We're just not using a creamy, mushroomy sauce that we'd like.
It's much too hot for creamy mushroom sauce right
You
now.
know, it's too hot even to be turning the oven on, but it's 20 minutes in the oven. It's not that bad. Come on, start to cook up here. There we go. There we go. Yay. So this is going to start caramelizing and getting thicker, and it's going to become this deep, kind of brown, syrupy looking creation that we're going to add, and we'll just keep adding some chicken stock that we're going to keep adding to that. So, how long have you been married?
We've been together about 26 years. We got married when Obama won. We were married in California, what I call a commemorative flight marriage,
Okay.
because it was legal, and then no one else could get married, but our marriage stayed legal.
Yeah.
So that's how long we've been married. It's actually, so as so many queer couples do, we celebrate two wedding anniversaries, or two anniversaries.
You met?
The anniversary of when we started dating, and then our actual wedding anniversary. I know some people are smart and line those up, but I was like, no, 2 chances for gifts.
There's a true homo.
So we actually met at Seattle Pride, which corresponds with San Francisco Pride, and so end of June. So our meeting anniversary is coming up here in a weekish, and then we got married November 1st.
Okay.
So 3 days before Proposition 8 went into effect.
And just before Palm Springs Pride.
Right.
So you can celebrate it
So we
during Palm
always are
Springs
celebrating
Pride.
during Pride.
Great. I just love our community. I think we have such an amazing community of people here.
You know, people ask me oh, how do you like living in Palm Springs? And I often say, I'm like, I can't imagine living anywhere else.
You know, I had no intention of living here.
Oh, really?
My home that I had here originally was a vacation home.
Sure.
That my partner and I used, and after he passed away and I got sick, I came here to recover because DAP had such a good healthcare program for me. And then, after a few years of suffering through the heat and not knowing anybody and trying to figure out who was in my community and how to engage with them, because no matter what, it's a cliquey community.
Yeah, it is. It helps that I'm antisocial, so I don't really mind that piece.
Yeah.
But we had vacationed here for years, and it was another rainy, cold day in Seattle. We were both commuting, he going to the east and me going to the north, and we were on the phone, and I was like, why? And we kind of always talk about someday retiring to Palm Springs, and I was like, why wait? Like, we're young enough, we can recover if we need, if it doesn't work out. Yeah. So that was sort of the day, and it took about a year to kind of arrange everything, but then we moved down here, and I honestly, I hate to leave.
Yeah, I consider vacations, and I hardly ever take a vacation, because I mean, what else? What am I missing here? I'm 2 hours from the beach, I'm 2 hours from San Diego, 2 hours from LA, 2 hours from the mountains, from the snow, actually even closer when it's snowing up in the mountain here.
Right.
And, it's a great place to be at.
The community is so wonderful. I love living in a really queer community. I love the heat. I am not one of these people who complains about the heat in the summer. Yeah. I complain about the cold in the winter when it gets into the 60s. I'm like,
I like the cold. I'm not a big heat fan, but
I love it when it's hot.
Are we getting any thicker here?
Yeah, we're starting to. Right. I love it when it's hot. I hate being cold. I'm one of those guys who, in the middle of season in January, like when I'm walking my dog in the morning, I've got a scarf and a hat and long pants and a sweatshirt and everything. And then I see these tourists who are in shorts and a tank top. I'm like, you need to go home and put on something.
And I'm the one with every window open and every door open and the cool air coming in. And
I'm like, can we turn on the fireplace tonight?
I've been struggling just keeping it 82 degrees in the house, and that's warm, but it's, I just got my first electric bill in this house. It was $225 for.
And that's not terrible.
Not terrible.
I mean,
not terrible.
We put solar on our house 2 years ago, and we made the decision right about now because we opened up the electricity bill and it was quite a bit higher than that.
Yeah.
And so we were like, solar, let's get the solar going.
Yeah, I'm a little, maybe I'll talk to you about solar, because I'm a little confused about solar and exactly.
They make it as confusing as possible.
They do, because they're like, it won't cost you anything. And then you look at it like, no, it's going to cost me $20,000.
Yeah, it's confusing. I will say that, we barely have an electricity bill now.
Right.
And, we get, and we've since added an electric car and blah. Yeah. So, like, it's a moving target, but I like that we have it. And I feel like I'm kind of
doing something good for the world.
I'm trying.
Yes.
Like there's so little that I feel I can do. So
yeah. It just needs to thicken up. I think we might need to add a little more honey to it.
Honey.
Add a little bit too much syrup. So the nice thing with this is you can always add more of something if you overdo with something else. So we're going to add a little bit of honey just to try to get it to caramelize a little bit more. There we go. And for you people who open honey jars and don't wipe off the lid before you put the lid back on, shame on you. Nothing worse than trying to open up a jar that has dried honey. And my hands are just not as strong as they used to be.
Well, I'm not going to admit to doing that now, but
but you do, huh?
I really do.
Yeah.
One of the nice things about this recipe, Mitch, is if people can also fool with it. Like you could add a couple tablespoons of mustard.
Yes.
And give it a kind of that nice bite of mustard. You could add some vinegar. You could add you could really play with this. Well, you've got these real great basics.
I was going to add some rice wine vinegar, but I wasn't really sure because I haven't. This is the first time I've actually made it. So most of what I write when I write a recipe, I'm just going by.
Sure. You can.
Okay, I think these in my mouth. I can figure out that taste. I can go to restaurants and actually recreate what I had in the restaurant after eating it a little bit.
My favorite vinegar is sherry vinegar.
Yes.
Like, I use it for everything.
Yeah, or just sherry.
Very Julia Childs.
It cooks off. I like the sherry. I actually went on a cruise with Julia Child.
Oh, did you?
She had a cooking cruise, and I was like, I gotta go on that.
Sure.
And it was so fun just watching her just be drunk. Because let's face it. She was a drinker.
That was just a little tipple.
That was not a show. All right. So we're going to add a little bit of this parsley now into it. And that should start to need to be scraped up a little bit.
Just a little tipple. Oh, I should have brought us a bottle of wine.
Ah, it's okay. I've got a few. We'll open one up when we're done. Can't do it on the show.
Oh.
Yeah, because if you have an audience that's under 21,
Oh, sure.
then you have to designate a higher audience number, like 21 and over,
okay.
instead of. So, I don't want to, you know.
No. I get it. I hadn't thought about that.
The demographic. On one of my first shows, actually,
But Julia could drink on her show. And
well, that
on
was before they had all the rules, and you know, social media is so strange now. I don't even know what the rules are in social media anymore. Depends which platform you're on.
I'm sure.
So, you know, we're on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook.
Do you have a little spoon so I can taste this?
Yes.
It seems like it's getting there.
There you go.
That's really good.
That's going to be really tasty. All right. So I think our vegetables are probably doing well. There we go. So let's turn this off. I'm going to squeeze it in here, and we're just going to take this. Actually, I'm going to pull this over here so you can all see.
Yeah, let the people see.
So look at this. We've got this beautiful mixture of vegetables and pork, and now we're going to put this honey drizzle over the top of it all. Ugh.
Here, do you want this?
Yeah. That's good. All right. So we've got this beautiful drizzled pork with bacon and seasonings and roasted vegetables. And we are going to go ahead and plate up a plate for Charles. And he's going to take the first bite.
Wow.
All right. So let's make some room. Let's get a nice hunk of the cabbage. Put it on the plate. Get some of our roasted veggies next to it. And then the thing I added at the grocery store that I thought sounded good, and we'll see if I'm right or wrong, is some of those crispy onions.
Can't go wrong with those.
Cannot go wrong with those. All right, my friend, you're going to come over. Let's see where. I'm going to put this here. You can take a cut, and then you're going to eat it to this camera right here. All right? So let me get that camera up for you.
Looks delicious.
Hot.
That is good.
Isn't that tasty?
Uh-huh. That's really good.
So what are the flavors you can taste coming out of it?
Well, certainly there's a sweetness from the honey. There's a little bit of spiciness in there. A little bit of smokiness from the paprika.
Right.
But, sure, I took a bite. What you can really taste is kind of that delicious porkiness, which is really my favorite.
And it's cooked perfectly.
It's really cooked
We have about 10 more minutes in the oven after we had it on the stove. So that's about it. That is our community kitchen collection this week. For all of our folks out there that are getting amazing food from the center, we encourage you to keep going. And as we close out tonight's special episode of Neighbors Cooking, I want to extend a special thanks to you.
Well, thank you for having me, Mitch.
For everything you do, your passion for food, your dedication to our community.
Thank you.
And it makes, every evening I do these shows, it makes it so memorable for me, and it builds these bonds and relationships that I'm so happy with. So your contribution to tonight's show does that. I want to thank you for being here again,
My pleasure.
showcasing your incredible work that you do for the community, for the center, for all of us. And I want to encourage all of you to keep eating, keep cooking, keep sharing us, liking us. It makes it so much better. Share it out to your friends and your neighbors. And until then, we're going to be back on Wednesday with our regular show, where I have Scott Stiles, the city manager, coming on.
Oh, fun.
And we're going to learn what a city manager actually does 'Cause it's
A lot.
A lot. But it's confusing to me, like who's in charge?
Right.
So I'm gonna let Scott say who's in charge.
Well, he will say that he is not, but we all know that he really
he will
is.
say he's not. The council is, but they work very closely together. Scott's going to come on. He's not a chef. He doesn't cook. Kelly thinks it's hilarious that he's coming on the show. She thinks he's going to poison me.
Oh.
But I'm going to do a lemon pasta that's going to be super easy for him to make.
Perfect.
And he'll be able to make it in a second. So we'll see you again next week in the kitchen. Until then, have a great night.
Oh, and check out the cvindependent.com
Yes.
For a great article on the work that Mitch is doing. We also do
And the Center.
newsletter and the center. And we just, I think we're some of the best reporting in the Valley. So.
Yeah, and as a note, the center has no waiting lists anymore for their food bank. So if you need food,
Right.
and you need to get some good food, just go to the center. There's no application process. Well, there's probably a paperwork, but you're approved. Nobody is turned away. So whoever you are, whatever kind of food you need, go to the center. They'll take care of you.
Right. Go, and it's on Wednesdays?
It's on Thursdays.
On Thursdays,
So
excuse
I
me.
get the food list on Wednesdays,
Right,
and Thursday they do the distribution.
So it's on Thursdays, so off Bristol Road.
Yep, of course. And so you can see the great food we can make, and we'll see you guys next week in the kitchen. Thanks, everybody.
Bye, thank you.
Thanks. And we're done. We're almost done. Trying to go out here. Out. There we go.
Turn it off.
This is what happens when you don't have your guy here to do your show for you. All right. And we're done.